September 5th, 2009, the very first game for then Augustana College at its brand new state-of-the-art on-campus football stadium. The Vikings topped Emporia State 32-21, breaking in their new digs with a victory on the scoreboard and a victory for the school itself.
I became the AD here in 1986, and shortly thereafter discussions began about the possibility of a stadium. We always had this site down here where we're sitting right now that had a practice field, and so there were people who envisioned us having a place.
But those visions didn't see the light of day, at least not initially. Several attempts were made in the 80s and 90s to move Augustana away from Howard Wood Field and back on school grounds.
We'd always been at Howard Wood, and it was a discussion of how much is it going to cost, how nice of a stadium can you build. And those early plans, the stadium was, 3,000-4,000 seats, 2,000 seats. It was nothing like we have today. And so we kind of determined that rather than to build something like that, we were better off staying at Howard Wood. We reached a point where we knew that it was going to take us at least $10 million to do the kind of stadium we wanted.
A number had been set, but now it was simply a matter of finding a way to reach that number.
The guy that really was pushing us was Bob's dad, Bill Hall, who was still alive in those days. So the Hall family has always had an interest in the stadium.
I figured it was a tribute to my dad and grandfather.
Bob Hall has been Augustana's equipment manager and a supporter of the school for decades. He wanted to help out, but didn't necessarily have the funding. He did, however, have something pretty valuable.
Bob said, "I don't have that kind of cash," and we said, "Yes, but you have land."
My dad and grandfather bought it in early 50s, and I inherited it.
More than 160 acres of prime real estate near the intersections of Interstate 29 and Interstate 90. Bob had it, and Sanford Health, led by CEO Kirkeby-Over, wanted it.
We were sitting down at the bar one night, and one thing led to another, and on the back of a napkin we drew the stadium, and Kelby was there, and he said, "Well, you've got land, we need land," so things just went from there.
We turned around and sold that land to Sanford for $6 million, which gave us our lead gift to build the stadium.
Sanford turned that land into the Pentagon and Fieldhouse, the main anchors of the Sanford Sports Complex. And the initial seed money gave Augustana Director of Athletics Bill Gross the foundation to provide more opportunities for donors.
When Sanford bought the land, we had the momentum, and then it was a matter of putting together various levels of packages of different kinds, ranging from 1 million down to 100,000, and enlisting the support of those people.
Once the project was fully funded, it needed a name. Since Bob was the one that sold the land, his wife Kari got to create the moniker.
To get her in with me to give the money took a little finesse. So, and a happy wife is a happy life. We name it after her parents.
They did it to honor their parents and the great things that their parents have done. But Bob understands the generations of kids that have been impacted.
Jerry Olszewski's roamed the sidelines for most of Kirkeby-Over Stadium's tenure as the Vikings head coach. The stadium's not only drawn the best out of his team, but everyone else as well.
It's the envy of most teams and all teams in our league when they come in. I think we get a better version of the teams that play us, and coaches have told me that. Our kids are amped to play at your place. And a large part of it is not only who we are, but what we are.
As you enter Kirkeby-Over Stadium, the man who got things off the ground provides a solid reminder of how this place came to be.
The bust on the gate is far exceeding anything I could imagine. It was humbling.
Like most places that have been around for a decade, there are a few areas that need some upgrades. That includes new turf, which should be implemented after this coming season. But for 10 years, this has been the home of Augustana football. a home that was drawn on a napkin, built on a practice field, and realized through the eyes of the community.
To have a gem like this and the caring hearts that put it together, our kids respect it, they understand it, and I make sure they know every day that it's our job to keep this legacy going of how blessed you are to have a great opportunity.
Every day I stand up there on my porch and I look out on the field, and it gives me a sense of pride.
Sometimes, dreams come true, and this was a dream, and a lot of people played a big part in getting this thing done.
10 years, I look forward to the next 10 and what the stories are going to be out of this place and Jim Heinrich's field at KO Stadium.